Welcome back, ladies and gamers. So today, I want to talk about Altaria because this deck has fallen off a cliff. Suicune has sort of become the dominant deck, and the way it is built is pretty much impossible for Altaria to deal with in its current state. So I want to go over the deck core, show you the tech cards that you can include in there, what matchups they're going to improve, give you a real overview so you understand Mega Altaria. And then I will go into some ranked gameplay. I will commentate over it and teach you how to play some of these matchups. So let's take a look here. This is the Mega Altaria core. This is pretty much what is going to be included in every list. And then we'll go look at the tech cards. So double Chingling, pretty standard. Double Swablu, double Altaria. One Jirachi, one Indeedee. And then all of these supporters. The Mars it's changeable. It can either be a Mars or a red card, but one of those hand disruption cards. One Rocky Helmet, one Pokeball to actually find the Indeedee. This is the core of the deck, and I don't think there's much wiggle room here. I would say the only thing in the core that you could experiment with is taking out the Indeedee and the Pokeball. But for the most part, after all the games I've played, and I've been playing this deck a lot, trying to refine it so it can deal with the ranked meta at its absolute peak. And this is what I would say. These are the cards that I really wouldn't touch. Now let's head over to the tech cards. Okay, so Klefki. Klefki, you discard it from the bench. It gets rid of the tool. Klefki, red, Rocky Helmet. All of these cards are meant to improve the Suicune matchup. You can go very aggressive with this and play double Klefki, double red, one Rocky Helmet. If you're going that route, you're probably having to cut back on the core, like maybe just take the Jirachi out of the deck and just go for this style of gameplay where it is really like, hey, I'm just trying to beat Suicune. And with double red, double Klefki, double Rocky Helmet, you can pretty well because it gets you to that damage number that is so important. The second Jirachi, you can play double Jirachi. I don't think Jirachi is as powerful as it used to be. I really don't. Like in Suicune and even in Hydreigon, you're not using the Jirachi a whole bunch to justify two of them. Same with the second Cyrus as the tech card here. I think if you're going to put in a second Cyrus, double Jirachi is required, but I don't even recommend that build. The Altaria and the Oricorio. So these are your choices to deal with electric type Oricorio. If you want a way to deal with that card, you can pick between Oricorio or Altaria. The Oricorio comes at the it is easier to set up, only needs one energy. It comes at the detriment of potentially starting it, right? It's one more bad starter in your deck. It's also one more basic Pokemon in your deck. So you kind of want to cap out at around 7 basic Pokemon. That's really the limit that you are looking to hit with Altaria. I think you can get away with 6 if you're not playing Klefki. If you are playing Klefki, you're definitely going to need a 7th basic because it's going to discard itself. And if you're only running 6 basics, if 2 of your basics get knocked out and you need to use Klefki, you won't have any more Pokemon to fill the bench. You will be stuck swinging for 100 damage maximum with the Mega Altaria. So it gets a little bit tricky. And also just like finding the other. If your active basic gets knocked out and you have the Klefki on the bench, finding that last basic is going to be like pretty tricky. It's nice to just have that second one in order to fix that. And then we have Sabrina and Repel, both options for more Gust. Again, if you're not playing double Jirachi, I don't think you should go double Cyrus. If you want more Gust in your deck, a Sabrina or a Repel is probably going to be the better choice. I don't mind either. Repel is great because you can go, if you're running a red build, you can go Repel plus red in the same turn or Repel plus Mars in the same turn, whatever. But the Sabrina, it's really, I mean, it's going to allow you to move Greninja EXs at the end of the game. It's going to allow you to move Hydreigons. So, you know, pro and con there on which one you want to run. But those are kind of the tech cards. So the Klefki red Rocky Helmet package, this is really going to boost your win rate against Suicune, and that only goes up by the amount you include. Double Cyrus, double Jirachi would probably, if anything, help against Hydreigon. But I don't think the deck struggles as hard against Hydreigon as it does Suicune. And then these cards, like Altaria, Oricorio, that's obviously improved some of your Oricorio matchups. And then Sabrina, Repel are just kind of like nice cards to have in the deck if you think they are worth it. But let's head over. I'll show you my deck list, what I have settled on, and go over some games. And if you guys are enjoying the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video. It really, really helps out. I see the number go up and it makes me happy. That's kind of it. So if you want to put a little smile on my face, subscribe to the channel. So here's my build of Altaria. And after what I told you about the tech cards, I have sort of settled on a blend between being better into Suicune and being better into Hydreigon, as well as the mirror. The Jirachi is really good for the mirror and Hydreigon. It just gives you more options in the deck as opposed to not running it at all. And I think it's very important to at least keep one of them. In the mirror match, I can't ever imagine winning a game without the Jirachi. We have a game here against the mirror match first. I have a pretty dream start. I'm starting Swablu, which is okay against my opponent. Sorry, not the dream start at all. I went first starting Swablu. He went second starting Indeedee. So it's not like the greatest thing. And what this is going to force me to do is I can't attach to my active Swablu, because if I flip for a heads and I miss, and the Indeedee doesn't stay asleep, I'm going to be in a pretty bad spot. I'm also not really... I don't have Altaria in hand, so I'm just going to try to slow this game down a bit. I know my opponent probably isn't going to get into Jirachi anytime soon, and I'm also just going to commit to the Klefki on the bench instead of Chingling. Chingling is going to... Benching Chingling would mean that my opponent could star drop on it, but I also want to restrict my opponent's copycat from potentially doing anything. So I'm looking at his discard pile, whatever. And I'm just going to go for Sing now that I have an energy on the bench Swablu. I know that I can retreat into that and swing with Altaria on the next turn. My opponent does bench his own Jirachi, but he's just going to say, all right, let me take a knockout with this Swablu. And the reason why I didn't evolve the Altaria there is because it kind of depended on, like, does my active Swablu get knocked out? If it does, I might want to evolve that one and just go for the attack there. If not, I might want to evolve the bench one. Like, it depends, like, who's going to get hit with potentially 30 from Jirachi, if that's a factor. Like, there's a lot to think about. But my opponent does red card me. I do find the other Mega Altaria, which is good. And I'm looking at this board state right here. And I can either send up Jirachi and start, like, pinging the Mega Altaria. I didn't have Cyrus. I top deck Cyrus. So if I had Cyrus in hand, I probably would have gone into Jirachi and just started spamming the Mega Altaria. But because I didn't, I kind of have to play this game hoping that my opponent does not have a Cyrus of his own, because this Mega Altaria is going to come up and swing into me, obviously. I'm going to be able to discard my Klefki from this Pokemon. And another cool thing is I've taken 2 points. My opponent can't bench a Chingling right now, so he can't really fill up his bench. But I'm going to have to just... this whole game is now based on my opponent not having Cyrus. So what I'm going to do is I can discard the Klefki, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Jirachi and say, all right, let's hope you don't have Cyrus. I'm going to ping the Jirachi on the bench. And what I really want you guys to take away from this game is a lot of the time the Altaria mirror match, and here what I'm doing here is playing my hand down as much as possible. My opponent's already red carded, but just in case he's also playing Mars, I want to make my deck as thin as possible so I can find that Cyrus if Jirachi gets knocked out and knock out that Jirachi. A lot of the time in the mirror match, you are going to ignore the Mega Altaria, and you are going to win by knocking out 2 Chinglings and a Jirachi and an Indeedee, a Chingling and an Indeedee, something like that. You're going to get your 3 points, not through the Mega Altaria. Now, my opponent's going into Sing. He's trying to slow me down, but I do end up waking up, so I just get to star drop the Jirachi. But you need to be very conscious of that when you are planning out your bench, and make sure you're not giving your opponent a easy way to win. I almost never want to bench Indeedee in the mirror match because of that, because then I've given my opponent a very easy way to win. Knock out my active Chingling, and then star drop my Indeedee, Cyrus it up, Indeedee's gone, I lose. Now we have a game against Suicune, and this is Suicune Giratina. So it's not like the most accurate thing, but I can tell you this is usually how Suicune goes. I'll try to give as much insight on it as possible because I've played a lot of Suicune against a lot of Suicune. So this is kind of your dream start right here. you want Chingling in the active item locking, and you want the Rocky Helmet on the Chingling. This is going to prevent your opponent from really attacking with their Suicune into Chingling, because they will be worried. I'm holding my hand right here because my hand's dead, like super dead. I kind of want my opponent to do something to my hand. I don't know why he would, but I'm just like, I'm hoping. And he does. He goes for Mars and gets rid of my hand. So that's why I held the Rocky Helmet there, is because I did want my opponent to give me a better hand. Unfortunately, on the other side of that, I get a strictly worse hand. But okay, you want to set up Klefki on the bench, Chingling in the active spot with the Rocky Helmet on it, build up that Swablu on the bench, and you can worry about like your other bench Pokemon later, right? Ideally, it wouldn't be a Jirachi here. It would be a second Chingling. So that way, when this Chingling goes down, if I'm not quite ready yet to get aggressive with Mega Altaria, I can just go into the other Chingling and then let that get knocked out and figure out the rest of the game from there. But even that is not the best play, because what you want with your two Rocky Helmets is one on Chingling, one on Swablu. The more important order is getting it on the Chingling so you can knock out that Suicune when it attacks into you. And then the second one for the Altaria for whatever else comes up and attacks next. Also very important in this deck to be thinning your deck as much as possible, right? Try to play as many cards down as you can, because you know that they are going to hit you with a Mars towards the end game. But really, before you break the item lock, like on the turn you're going to break the item lock, that's when you want to hit them with the red card. There is some discretion in that. Sometimes you do want to red card sooner than that. But here, so I still don't have a Mega Altaria. I haven't seen one all game. So I'm just going to Chingling item lock and hope that we can find it on the other side, because this Giratina is going to go down pretty easily. And I will still be able to keep my Klefki in play, as well as I'll have my red. So I'm not like so worried about getting a knockout on the Suicune. Like, my hand's pretty good. I know I'm not going to get Marsed for the rest of the game. Sorry, my hand's like not good right now, but I have some important pieces in my hand that I need for the combo at the end of the game. Another thing about this deck, right, is like this version, and really like Altaria in general, is kind of built around hoping that your opponents are not playing Frogadiers. If they're playing Frogadiers, this all becomes like so much more difficult. It becomes so much more difficult. I'm debating, like, do I bench Aditi? Do I bench Chingling? Like, do I snipe with... I'm thinking, do I go red card, snipe the Froakie? Like, I don't even know if that would be a reasonable play. But I think I'm just going to go in, give myself one more turn to find the Mega Altaria, and just keep the item lock going. The Giratina is, like, damaged enough that I know that Mega Altaria will be able to take the knockout on the next turn. But he swings with Giratina. Very good. And I'm going to promote Swablu, because it is the only thing I can do to not lose this game on this next turn. I have 6 cards left in deck. And I get a Rocky Helmet. Okay. So the bottom 5 cards in my deck right now are Double Mega Altaria, Research, Copycat, and some random 5th card. So now we get to do the other fun thing, which is singing with Swablu. And I'm going to red card this turn because, again, like I said, it's kind of like when you break the item lock is when you want to use it. And the item lock is now broken. So I need to hope this Giratina stays asleep to even stay in this game. And it does. So we're not losing this turn. But I need to prevent that Greninja from coming out, because a Greninja EX in my current state, a Greninja EX is just going to win him the game. It is going to make things... a baby Greninja is going to make things very hard, because it's just going to start pinging damage, and maybe my opponent could just Cyrus around the Mega Altaria. So the red card was very, very... Like, I needed to play it that turn. My opponent just goes whatever with the Giratina. Yep, makes sense. And off the top of our deck, we get Pokeball. So that was the 5th card. My bottom 4 cards are Double Mega Altaria, Research, Copycat. I'm looking at my face right now. I'm in disbelief during this gameplay. I'm in disbelief. I cannot believe what's happening. This is the lowest variance I've ever seen. So we're going to hope that it comes back around and sing. And he doesn't wake up. Okay, so we're still in this. We know, like, almost guaranteed we're going to get the Altaria next turn. My opponent goes Rare Candy into the Baby Greninja. That's scary, right? Like, obviously, I mean, my opponent's just a Cyrus away from winning. Oh, but the Gears here to sleep, so at least I'm not going to lose this turn. And he uses Irida. So now I'm sweating a little bit less, because this is the second Irida my opponent has played this game. And that, to me, he also played his card down to a one-card hand. So if I talk that Copycat here, I'm screwed. I get research, though. My opponent's down to... he's played double Irida, which means he probably is not playing double Cyrus. He's probably not playing double Cyrus. Now, you can imagine... this would be pretty similar. I mean, this is a very low variance game anyways, but, like, the game plan is still the same. Like, knock out whatever's attacking in the active spot. And then knock out the other threat by it taking Rocky Helmet damage, you, like, red carding at the right time so they can't get into a Greninja EX, that sort of thing. Now they bench the Froakie, and it's just that last card in hand. We're going to wait. My opponent just passes, because if he attacks with Suicune, he loses. But I am holding the red in hand, so I will be able... Even if he put a Giant Cape on it, I had the Klefki plus the Swablu in hand. We end up being able to win that one. But that is... like how the Altaria matchup goes is it is a very, very slow game. You don't really want to rush it. There are times where you can try to go aggressive Jirachi on a Froakie. I don't really recommend it because, what is it? Because they've like, let's play double Giant Cape, Rare Candy into Greninja. Like Iridas. They have a lot of ways to kind of just nullify that 30 damage you just did to the Froakie. And if you ever break the item lock and allow them to get into a Greninja or a Greninja EX, the game's like almost over right there. It's not totally over, but it's not good for you. They will be a lot faster than you are. And you kind of just can't keep up with the speed of that. So, yeah, very slow game. Just keep the Chingling lock going. Play your cards down out of your hand, so when they do Mars you, it's going to be a lot less effective. And just Rocky Helmet on the Chingling, Rocky Helmet on the Mega Altaria. That's how to do that. And now we have a game against Hydreigon. Hydreigon is a weird one to play against for the most part. It is... like, we want to be item locking. There are now new versions that play Giovanni, so your Chingling can get knocked out early by that. And for the most part, the Rocky Helmets don't totally matter in this matchup. It depends on what version your opponent's playing. But usually you just want the Rocky Helmet on the Chingling. So that way, if your opponent does get, like, Giant Cape, you kind of want one on a Chingling and on an Altaria. That way, if the Dino is attacking into your Chingling, you can heal the damage, or sorry, you could do 20 damage back, so maybe you get a knockout with a Chingling, probably not. But if they get into like I don't know, something aggressive, then the Rocky Helmet just makes them think twice about it. And then a Rocky Helmet on the Altaria. Because how this game is usually going to go is you're going to item lock them until you are able to knock out with Altaria. You do kind of want to be fast in this matchup. You don't really want to wait around too long because just the more cards you give them, the worse it is for you, especially because they play like the baby Absol. So if they're just pinging your Altarias on the bench, like that's not good for you. You kind of want to go and try to get the game over quickly. And also very important is keeping your hand down as low as possible. You're going to see here, like this, half of this deck's draw engine is Copycat. I'm going to attach the Swablu. I am going to evolve into the Swablu. And I'm just going to bench the Klefki. And I'm not even going to play the Licia. I have like everything I want in my hand right now. I'm going to try to keep this guy down to nothing. And that's also why I red carded early. Was I want to red card this guy down to 3 cards and then item lock him. So if he has a second Pokeball, he can't play it. Like no Rare Candy, Hydreigons, whatever. I want to give him as little amount of cards as possible. And it's probably something I wouldn't normally do unless I am able to really aggressively play my hand down. Since I was able to aggressively play my hand down, I felt it was good to use the red card. Now here, I'm going to go into the Mega Altaria. And I realized after I go into the Mega Altaria, I'm like, I need a Rocky Helmet, so I'm gonna use the research. I don't find it, so now I'm a little bit scared because my opponent could have Rare Candy, Hydreigon plus Indeedee. And then my Altaria is taking 130 damage, and I can't return knockout the Hydreigon. He only has 3 cards in his hand, so it's not all that likely. But it does give him like a copycat for 3 instead of a copycat for 2, which I'm not the biggest fan of. He gets the Indeedee and the Rare Candy Hydreigon. So he is now going to survive this next turn, no matter what. Also, another reason why you don't want to give them all the time in the world is because they will just start attaching to their Hydreigons or a Mega Absol somewhere. And then, if that is happening, you will not be able to, or they won't have to use Hydreigon's ability, or even just them having the Mega Absol setup is like kind of not good for you, because Hydreigon attack plus Mega Absol is just a knockout. So you do want to like kind of be very aggressive in this matchup. It's not like Suicune where you're just trying to play it as slow as possible until they attack. It is like you need to put the foot on the gas and just go for it. So obviously I can't stay in with this Mega Altaria. No way. He only has 1 card in his hand, so I just need to avoid a Cyrus and I'll be okay. And I'm thinking here, I'm just gonna Star Drop on the Hydreigon. Because if I do it on the Indeedee, like, I could win with a Cyrus off the top of the deck, but, I mean, I'm not gonna count on that. I'm just gonna put the damage on the Hydreigon. So that way, if he wants to attack this Jirachi, even if he doesn't attack the Jirachi, I'm gonna be able to knock out the Hydreigon next turn. And I'm getting ready to concede because I'm just like, he's got it. This is still not a good spot. I have a Chingling on the bench. My opponent could go Baby Absol and win the game. Now, he doesn't have a whole lot of cards. I'm going to try to play down my hand as much as possible to try to prevent that. And at this point, I'm like, I lose to Baby Absol no matter what. So let me just bench the second Chingling. And let me use Copycat for 2, and maybe I get some cards to use. I get a Rocky Helmet. So now I can play my hand all the way down to 1 and just make it, again, I'm trying to make it as hard as possible for my opponent to go through his deck in any meaningful way. And I'm going to swing with the Mega Altaria. And so, like I was saying, I could have attacked with the Chingling that turn, but my opponent would have been free to Indeedee heal, plus... Indeedee heal, plus just not attack with Hydreigon. I believe the damage would have worked out that way, but he doesn't have it, and he ends up conceding. But if we go back there to that turn, right? My opponent had 100 HP left. I believe. Yeah, he had 100 HP left. Is this the right spot? This is not the right spot. Okay, I'm like, I don't think he had 100. No, he had 130 HP left. So if I went up and attacked with Chingling, he'd go down to 120. He'd go up to 140. Which I guess would have meant I could just go in with the Altaria the next turn and swing on it, and then there's no way it would have been able to knock me out. But I kind of wanted the game to be over as quickly as possible. Prevent my opponent from, like, benching a Mega Absol or something, or, again, that, like, Baby Absol. I just kind of wanted the game to get over with as fast as possible. But honestly, looking back on it, I think it would have been better to go Chingling, attack, and that way I wouldn't have lost to Baby Absol if my opponent had been able to find it. But we did a good enough job keeping my opponent from ever really seeing any cards in their deck to pull it off. All right, so that's going to be it for the video. Hopefully you guys now understand better how to play Mega Altaria. Oh, one thing I didn't even discuss. I am not playing Altaria or Oricorio in here. And the reason for that is, after a lot of play, I have come to the conclusion that I am going to lose to Oricorio about 70% of the time. I'm only going to see an Oricorio deck maybe 1 in every 10 games, if that. Why would I use a precious card inclusion in my deck list for a 30% matchup against a deck I'm maybe going to see 10% of the time? Maybe. I just don't. This is the way I'm doing it. Does it feel good to see your opponent have an electric energy and just kind of concede immediately? No, it doesn't feel good. But I think overall, the win percentage is going to be better by boosting your Suicune matchup and your Hydreigon matchup by just not including one of those cards in there. I kind of replaced it for the Pokeball so I can get the Indeedee. If you really want it, like, I'd either get rid of the Pokeball and just go full greed, or get rid of a Rocky Helmet, which is still like full greed. I honestly, if I was going to go full greed, I think I would take out the Pokeball for like a second red. I think that would be heat. Or a second Mars, or like a Mars or something in the deck. But that's why I'm not playing any sort of Oricorio counter, because the deck kind of just loses to Oricorio already. and I'm not gonna try to win a 10% matchup 30% of the time. If math works the way I think it should, that means 1 out of every 30 games. That's gonna win me 1 out of every 30 games. Now, obviously, it's not gonna work like that because the baby Altaria can come into play in some other matchups, absolutely, but just like not that often. So that's why I'm going without it. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, or if you just watch the videos and never subscribe. You're people too. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.